Hello friends, my name is Michael McCauley and you are listening to Biocast. What's our goal here? Understanding history one person at a time. If you're watching this right now, it means that you are viewing what was previously a Patreon exclusive video. So I've decided to make all of these videos free. I want to keep as little content behind a paywall as possible because I think this is some really good information and I think people can really learn from it. And by putting it behind that paywall, I know that it means that there are just some people that are not going to be able to view this stuff. So I decided against it. If you want to check out my Patreon, you can get an exclusive weekly live stream where I talk about basically anything you want. You can check that out at patreon.com/biocast. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy this video. And today we're going to be talking about the relationship dynamic between Cleopatra and Julius Caesar, because it's one of those relationships that are, it's like up there, right? I mean, I don't think they're quite a Romeo and Juliet, but like they are the archetype of the political expediency, like you benefit, I benefit kind of relationship. And I think that if you compare anyone's relationship to theirs, I mean, it sheds a lot of light. It's almost like a marker, right? How much is your relationship like Caesar's and Cleopatra's? Are you gaining advantages in your career or your political stability? Or, there are just these really interesting questions that you can start to analyze when you have this relationship in mind. So we're going to be looking at the way this relationship functioned in a little bit more detail here. So I'm going to assume that you've listened to the Cleopatra Biocast. I really hope you have. You shouldn't be here if you haven't. But I strongly encourage you to listen to that first before you watch or listen to the rest of this. But if not, I'm not telling you how to live your life. It's just a recommendation. You live how you want, man. I'm not gonna tell you how to do your thing. But anyway, so without any further ado, let's get right on into this. So the one really big factor that comes into play here is Caesar knows that he can control Cleopatra. He knows it because he recognizes that Rome is in a superior advantage, right? They are the top dog. They are, I think if we wanted to make a modern comparison, it would kind of be like Rome at this time was the United States. And Egypt, well, maybe there's I'm not sure you could quite. American-Mexican relations probably wouldn't work, but let's say they're a smaller nearby country that's kind of friendly, but America kind of wants. We'll say Canada, right? So Canada's like right there. There's all this land that Americans could be having right there. We're like, oh, why not? Oh boy, look at all that land. Look at all those resources. So it's kind of like, oh, we kind of want some of that. But because of the political situation, no one's invaded just yet. There hasn't been a war, but we know that if there ever was a war, America would whoop Canada, take all their land, and basically do whatever they wanted. That's how it would play out. That's the exact situation that Rome and Egypt found themselves in. And as basically heads of state, well, at least Cleopatra was the head of state. Caesar, it's a little bit more of a gray area. There was technically a senate and all this other stuff, but I guess he was the pseudo head of state. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was dictator at this time. So, as the heads of state, that impacted the way they interacted with each other. Cleopatra may have had more consolidation of her own political power, but Caesar, he may have had less consolidation, but he had a lot more power to wield, a lot more men, a lot more resources, a bigger civilization, vastly more land. I mean, having Egypt, Egypt was a big place. I mean, the Ptolemaic monarchy controlled a lot of land, but for the most part, it was like, you controlled the city. The rural areas were technically your land, but not not so much, right? Like, this is the ancient times. I mean, even today, trying to govern rural areas is like almost impossible. And this has been one of the hardships of human civilization forever. Because, how are you going to govern people that live out in the middle of nowhere? Now, today we have technology, so, if you live out in the middle of nowhere, like, it's kind of hard to get away with not paying your taxes or whatever. Unfortunately, we live in one of those horrible times where we just all have to pay tax no matter where we live. But at this time, it was like you could live, like, if you lived in rural Egypt, BFE, you could really get away with it. You probably wouldn't have to serve in the military if you really wanted to draft dodge. You probably wouldn't have to pay a lot in taxes. You could probably, just escape most of the laws. I mean, your rural little area probably didn't have a lot of law enforcement. It was mostly community driven. But anyway, so yeah. Long story short, the rural people, very hard to control. Now, with Cleopatra, though, she was in a really unique situation because the regime was in danger. Her father, Ptolemy XII, had been basically overthrown by his own people because he was way too friendly to Rome. He wanted to stay in power. He wanted his family to keep on ruling Egypt. He didn't want to give that up. And understandably so, right? Like, this is just like he responded to human incentive. Doesn't want to lose his power. And if Rome was going to come in and strong arm and take a bunch of money, he was going to be okay with that. He was going to kiss the ring. He was okay with it so long as he had his wealth, his his royalty, right? He got to be considered a king or hell, a pharaoh, right? So it was basically whatever he wanted. And when you have that kind of risk there, you will do whatever it takes, right? I mean, think about, you want to make a modern day comparison. Look at North Korea. The last thing North Korea wants, yes, at least, maybe not all of North Korea. Let's say the leader, Kim Jong-un. I believe that's the leader as of today. What is it, November 2019? Yeah, I believe that's the leader as of right now, but I'm not sure. I don't keep up with the news too much. But that guy, Kim Jong-un, does not want there to be some kind of war, any kind of instability, doesn't want any crazy stuff going on. He just wants to keep himself in power because he knows it's going to be this nice, cushy, easy life for him. He gets to be worshipped like a god. He gets to hang out all day, do whatever he wants. His ego is going to be constantly fulfilled. He's going to have, he's like the richest guy in the country. I mean, there are other people that are well off and the elites, right? There is always going to be a ruling class. But when you are the ruler, it's really nice. It's really nice. No one has it better than you do. Because not only do you get the status, you get the wealth, you get the power, there really isn't anything you don't get. If that dude wanted to do some weird, crazy stuff, I'm not going to go into too much details, but any kind of drug or any kind of sexual deviance thing, you can have it, man. Because, look, he rules the country. There isn't anyone that can tell him no. And it was that exact situation in Ptolemaic Egypt. So when you're the monarch, all you want to do is consolidate that power. Make sure that you're not going to get invaded. And with Rome, it was going to happen one of two ways, right? You were either going to kiss the ring and give Rome whatever they wanted, or they were going to come in and take everything. But you also lose your power there. So it was always better to give Rome what they wanted. And that's what Ptolemy did. Now, Cleopatra operated very similarly. She was definitely very lenient toward Rome. I mean, she basically gave herself to Julius Caesar, just to kind of ensure that she wouldn't be invaded and overthrown. And, that's just kind of the way it went. And in some ways, you almost have to be like, I really wonder if she regretted it, right? Because there's something about, right? I mean, it does something to you. it's kind of like you sacrifice a part of yourself, part of your quality as a human being for, what really? For political power? Now, understandably, that is a lot of political power, and there are people have given themselves away for less. So let's not pretend that isn't the case. But with Cleopatra, it's just, I guess that's just the way. That's the decision that she made, and you really don't know. You just really don't know what goes into a thought process like that. But yeah. That understanding, that power dynamic, you can almost guarantee that painted every single interaction the two of them ever had. Because there was not a time that Cleopatra was speaking to or interacting with Caesar or, doing some kind of political maneuvering with him, that wasn't somewhere in the back of her mind. Because that's just the way she was. So, and understandably so. But it has, unfortunately, been really bad for her political situation. I don't think that she was this femme fatale that everyone kind of makes her out to be, because that's kind of how she has been popularized. I think that when she was in her relationship with Caesar, it was a pragmatic thing. She was going to get overthrown and killed if she didn't do it, sooner or later. Maybe not overthrown, maybe invaded by Rome sooner or later. It was something that a lot of people saw as an inevitability. And despite, let's look a couple years into the future here. Cleopatra's going to sleep with 2 Roman big-time guys, and Rome is still going to invade. Rome still invades. They eventually annex Egypt, and it becomes a Roman province. So even though she did everything, absolutely everything in her power, Rome still invaded anyway. Let's not forget that. So I think a lot of the people that were predicting that it was an inevitability at the time, they were right. There was no stopping it. You could cozy up to Rome all you wanted, give them whatever they wanted. They were coming for your land. They were coming for Alexandria. They were coming for the Nile. There was too much wealth there to not go in and take it. And Rome at the time, they were just, they were wild, man. They were wild. There was the one quote that, I forget, it was one of the Eastern monarchs who had dealt with the Romans. And they basically said that the Romans were a pack of wolves that were going to come in and take everything. They hated everyone. They hated all the great kings. They wanted to just come in and steal all the wealth in the world, bring it back to Rome, and if they couldn't, they were going to die in the process. Not a good way, not a bad way to really think about Rome. That really is the way they acted. It's the way they behaved geopolitically. If they could take more, they were gonna. And they were gonna be happy to do it. And if they couldn't, they were gonna die in the process. I mean, I'll try not to get on a tangent about Rome here. Let's get back to Caesar and Cleopatra. Now, one thing I've speculated a lot about and thought a lot about, what was in it for Julius Caesar? And honestly, the best answer that I've come up with, and again, this is just like my personal take on it, right? I'm not a historian. I guess you could call me an amateur historian. I'm not a professional, but my take on it is that the only thing he was really after, he just wanted to do something devious. He just wanted, he had a wife and he was this military guy. He's away from his wife and everything for years at a time. And I guess you make do. And I guess Cleopatra was, that's just kind of the way that I read it, because he didn't really gain anything. It really did nothing for him politically. There was just, I kind of like having someone that's a self-proclaimed goddess on earth beg me and give themselves to me. So it was kind of like a power play. Maybe just an ego thing. So something in that realm. Because that definitely painted the way their relationship played out. So yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts on their relationship. And it's just really interesting Now, one thing that I do want to let you guys know before this little video ends here is I am currently working on the Leon Trotsky biocast. That is going to be a masterpiece. It's going to be a lot longer than any other biocast episode to date. So it's a little bit wild. It's very crazy. It's been, I can't hype it up enough. I'm so excited about it. I'm about 5,000 words in, and oh boy, it's going to be insane. So I really hope you guys are excited about that. Leon Trotsky is this crazy Russian revolutionary guy, and he's like the perfect combination of someone that's an idealist and a pragmatist, like combined into one. And it's so wonderful because, so far I feel like I've dealt with a lot of people that were either a complete idealist or a complete pragmatist, right? Cleopatra, absolute pragmatist, didn't care anything about idealism. Same with Stalin or Hitler or Joseph Goebbels, like none of them were really idealistic. They were just pragmatists playing their part. And then you got some of the artists that I've covered, H.P. Lovecraft, Edgar Allan Poe. I think you could even say Solzhenitsyn is more of an idealist, but they're a little bit less focused on the pragmatic side, right? I mean, so especially with like Solzhenitsyn, I mean, he was taking a real risk with all the work that he did. So yeah, the Leon Trotsky episode is this perfect blend between someone that thought and someone that did. And it's just so fascinating. And I'm just so excited for you guys to hear it. So thank you so much for watching all the way through. I really hope you guys enjoy this. Be sure to stay tuned for any more exclusive content coming your way. I hope you guys are excited for it, as excited as I am. Thank you so much. And I will see you in the next one. Peace out.